Sorry.
I start from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Rowley, and I'm doing my presentation on gaming and virtual reality. So, virtual reality is becoming more important in everyday life. Like, it's a new thing. It's not really been big in anything before. But Facebook purchased the Oculus VR for $2 billion, and that hasn't even made its first product. So Facebook obviously thinks virtual reality is going to be huge. Like Valve and HTC are working together to create the HTC Vive, and they're offering entire rooms for free to developers, like with sensors and everything, because they want people to make software for it for when it's released. And many new companies are also developing new products. So how will virtual reality influence gaming, and also how has gaming influenced virtual reality? So to start with the origins of virtual reality, the first product was the Sword of Damocles. Damocles. It was named that because the headset itself was way too heavy to wear, had to be suspended from the roof, like by big steel things. That was just a very basic, it added lines in front of you, you could see like very basic 3D shapes. And then the Aspen movie map was created in 1977. That is sort of like the Google Maps thing, you know, from the point of view of the person. I think the lecturer of the university actually just went around with the camera, just taking photos of everything. But none of those were really very useful for anything. And Atari saw these virtual reality things and wanted to create games in virtual reality. So they set up a VR lab in 1982, but then there was that infamous gaming crash of 1983, where it lost all its funding, had to lose the lab. And there's eventually nothing until the early 90s. Like, people tried to create products, but nothing happened. Virtuality became the first mass-produced VR experience. That was like arcades set up, so you put on the headset and play in the arcade. But due to the high cost of VR, the public's focus turned to the internet, which was new at the time, so everyone lost interest in virtual reality until now. The Oculus Rift changed everything in 2010. The idea alone raised $2.4 million on Kickstarter to fund the idea, like a VR that worked. And then Facebook purchased it before it finished implementing the idea for $2 billion. So that's one 21-year-old. You go back?
Sorry.
Oh. Oh yeah, it just showed everyone's potential of VR. Like, the guy who created that was just some 21-year-old. His last name was Lucky.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, for all the virtual reality products that have been created, it's always been gaming companies that have been trying to make them. So, it's kind of thanks to gaming that virtual reality has exploded in popularity. Like Samsung, HTC, Valve, Sony, Google, Microsoft, and many others are developing headsets now. And there are many different ideas that people are creating. Like, people are trying to make movies, so you go into the cinema and put on a headset, and you kind of live the movie, so you'd be seeing it as if you were there. Prosthetic limbs, people, amputees, they can now wear a headset and have a virtual hand that they can control, so they can learn how to use a prosthetic limb before they've even made the limb. So then they can put it on and they can actually move fingers, like from a robot hand. It's crazy. Soldiers in America are actually using it to treat post-traumatic stress. They allow the soldiers to relive experiences through VR. People are developing software to control robots, so you wear a headset and control a robot. NASA are doing this to put robots on like Mars and stuff, so you can control it. Using it for surgery, like micro-surgery. They can put like a little robot inside you and wear a VR headset and control the robot. This is like changing a lot of stuff. Communication is the Facebook one. Like, they're gonna do something big because they spent $2 billion on it. Augmented reality, virtual tourism is a cool one. They're gonna like
Google Earth with the Oculus, basically?
Yeah, but it'll also mean that you can put on a headset and have a virtual tour of like Mars if that mission is successful, or like go under the ocean and stuff, a little robot. So you can like tour areas that you can't even explore yourself. And what can virtual reality offer games? total immersion in the game. You are completely isolated from the real world. To show this, there's the Oculus Rift prank. It's a
Live. Always.
you don't have to watch a video, but I'll explain it. It's the guy who's playing the roller coaster game on the Rift, and he's completely immersed in it. That when he goes over the jump, the prank is someone pushes him, and he completely freaks out. He's screaming until they take the headset off. He's like lying on the ground and he's completely freaking out because he has no idea what's going on in real life. He's just fallen. It offers new gaming experiences. Like they're developing virtual reality theme parks. I'll be talking about that one in a second. It's complete sensory deprivation from real life, like you have the headphones on. They're even trying to create smell and stuff to add to it. Yeah, and it keeps you the flow theory, like it keeps you fully immersed into that. So a new type of entertainment is the Void. It's a virtual reality themed amusement park. Think like if you're playing Quasar, but everyone had a headset on. So the walls would no longer just be black walls, it'd be like CGI walls, but you can still touch them. And they'd have like monsters running around that you shoot. But then you're carrying physical guns, so everything you see in CGI would be like a real thing that you can touch as well. So like you can physically interact with everything. So I'll be focusing a lot more, and I'll have references and stuff in the actual report. So any questions?
Is there any scope for, say, education to be had? It's like you had the surgery, they could use that to train.
Yeah, there is. They've the top surgeons are now wearing headsets when they perform surgeries, so that people learning can look through their eyes, so they can see exactly what they see.
I did get to work with an Oculus Rift when I was on co-op, and like I can tell you that the moment that blew everyone's mind was when they would be wearing the Oculus and they would look behind them.
Yeah,
Like, that blew my mind,
full
and
360
it blew the mind of every single person who put the thing on.
yeah, that's what blew my
Looking
mind when I first put it on as well. You can't really describe it until you try it.
I can also tell you that one of the biggest problems with it is motion sickness.
They are working on
yeah.
that though.
It's fine if the simulation actually has you like sitting down. Even if you're sitting down on a roller coaster, you don't get motion sickness. But anywhere where you are walking around an area, that will make you terribly motion sick. Also, doing 18 rolls in a X-wing in a row will generally do that too.
Disoriented anyway.
Are you looking to the ethics side of it? Imagine that controversy with shooters and all that.
Yeah, I haven't looked into that yet, but I will be looking into that in the report, because when you're totally immersed into it, it's probably got a lot more impact on you when you're playing it.
I mean, the early problems with VR was always disorientation, nausea, vomiting, motion sickness. That's still going on to a certain
It
degree
is a
now.
lot better than it used to be.
And they're still developing, working on it as well. But now all the companies are working on it, so they're bound to find something.
There's some study done I saw with disorientation with Oculus Rift, and they put a nose on your screen in the middle, and it actually reduced it by something like 50% or something by the amount of people.
Just like seeing the nose.
Yeah,
That's because the reason behind motion sickness is a inconsistency between what your eyes are seeing and what your brain thinks is happening. That's why sitting down in something is so much better. It's like one of the games I played was you were sitting in a giant robot walking around, but because you were sitting and I could look down and see, oh, I'm sitting in a chair, my brain was fine with that, no problems whatsoever.
Okay, you talked about Microsoft as well. What they're developing is augmented reality.
Yeah.
So do you think they can both coexist, or one's going to take over the other?
I think they'd both coexist. Like augmented reality would be like a separate thing. You'd put on the augmented reality will not have you fully immersed, because
so
it's augmented
reality
in real life.
like the whole thing's going to kind of be more like we're talking about education and stuff there, like surgeries and stuff. That seems to be way more geared towards that. So it seems like the Oculus Rift's going to come down to more just kind of gaming and maybe movies and things. And do you think that's enough for like, will people like get over the fad maybe of like sitting down with an Oculus Rift on rather than just playing on their monitors like we grown accustomed to, I guess, at this stage?
Well, yeah, it is kind of a fad right now, but I think virtual reality is going to become like a popular thing. Like if you're thinking about like people spend hundreds on a TV, if you spend less than that on the headset, you have full 360 vision of everything. It's much better to look at than a screen. Sure, it's only an individual experience though. That might hold it back a little bit. But I think it will become commonplace in the future.
Okay.
But then yeah, the augmented reality ones would be much better for teaching people. Because like if you've seen the ad for the HoloLens, it's like, I don't know how, if it's going to actually be implemented like in the video, but they'd have like a motorbike there, like developers trying to decide what it should look like, and then they edit it with CGI to like change the engine size of the actual motorbike that's there, stuff like that.
Question back over there.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you think like with AAA titles and stuff, do you think they're going to make games for virtual reality, or they're going to just do it as an afterthought to get sort of get into that market?
Right now, they're kind of just adding it as an afterthought, but I think at the beginning at least they will develop games fully for the virtual reality, but I don't know if that'll last.
Yeah. I think it will go to like a similar thing with Android, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like the people are doing like little test projects for the moment, and then when they get to grips with the device, they'll start doing interesting stuff. Also, on the subject of sensory deprivation, total immersion, while I was on co-op, we ran a thing where we put one of the employees in the Oculus on a roller coaster thing, and she was having a great time going, oh, woo, woo. And then she swung her head to the left and smacked the Oculus off a wall and went, what was that? Fortunately, she was okay, as was the very expensive piece of equipment.
Total immersion.
Total immersion. Okay, Kia. Oh,
There's
sorry.
a university in Tokyo where they're working on touch, where that you will just touch this machine and they can replicate whatever they wanted to replicate. Do you think that with the Oculus Rift you could actually sit in a room and feel as if moon dust?
What, like to feel the touch of it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it would be the perfect thing for
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Like if you go back a few slides, there's the guy creating the 3D model. So like if you could feel the model as well.
There's definitely some ethical questions
Yeah.
behind that, though.
Quick suggestion, you were talking
Porn.
about smells for Oculus Rift there earlier. You might want to check it up. There's a Kickstarter up for some kind of Oculus Rift helmet. Elisa Weiss up there a few minutes ago, and they're doing all that with perfumes and moisture sprays for water in the world and all that. Just to talk about it.
For in the helmet.
In bed.
Yeah, there's a helmet
Yeah.
in development on it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll look that up as well. There's also the suit you can buy from Kickstarter that fully maps your body into the VR world.
Okay, guys, we'll release them.